Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Melissa and I make videos on living a healthier, happier life, and I share a lot about my plant-based, low-calorie density way of eating, which has enabled me to lose over 30 pounds and keep it off without counting calories. And I thought I would make a video today for anyone who has kind of just stumbled upon my channel, or maybe you've seen one or two of my what I eat in a day videos and you're kind of intrigued and kind of curious about this whole low calorie density thing and maybe wanting some clarity or some more information. So I compiled a list of some of the real benefits that I've experienced from eating this way, and I'm going to kind of dive deep into those and share my own experience. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to share some realistic challenges that you may experience. And the reason I'm going to do that is I want to kind of share with you some tips and strategies so that you're prepared if you also encounter these challenges, and hopefully this will help you out. But I will just let you know that I do have a website with a lot more information. It's lowcaloriedensity.com. I just started that a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to be adding more recipes, more helpful information. If you go to the tab that's called New Start Here, there are some really good free charts and graphics that I've created, and you can have those for free. If they're helpful, you can drag them to your computer desktop, you can screenshot them to refer back to at any time. And I've also created a 25 item super basic grocery list. So if you are wanting to start making your own low calorie density meals and kind of getting creative with this way of eating, you can use that list as a reference of kind of a starting point, because you can make a ton of breakfasts, lunches, and dinners with those items on that list. And they're very budget friendly. You can find all of those items at your local Walmart or your local other major grocery chain. And so hopefully that is helpful for you. All right, so the first benefit, and I think this is what really makes this way of eating stand apart from any other diet that I've ever heard of, is that you do not need to be hungry. When you're eating this way, you can truly eat until you're full and satisfied and feeling good. And I think that that is amazing. You don't have to stop yourself because you've eaten a certain number of calories, or stop yourself because you've had your one plate of food. If you're still hungry, you can go ahead and have another serving of your lunch or dinner. Or if you've had one orange and you want another orange, or you want a banana, you don't have to limit yourself in that way. You can truly eat until you are full. And I like this because when it comes to eating, everybody has their own appetite depending on their activity level or just their own selves. Everybody is different. And so it never really made sense to me when a diet told someone, okay, you have to eat half a cup of rice and half of a zucchini and half of an onion, or whatever the ingredients are. Like, what if you're still hungry after that? You're supposed to just stop because some recipe book or some diet told you to stop? Like, for me, I love this way of eating because I've always kind of been a volume eater. I need like quite a big portion of food in order to feel full. And so for me, this is just amazing. And that is something that I get a lot of positive feedback on with my clients that I coach. 1 or 2 weeks into eating this way, one of the biggest things that everyone loves is that, oh my goodness, Melissa, I can't believe I lost a pound or I lost 2 pounds, and I've been able to eat until I'm full, and I've had big portions of food. And so that is definitely a benefit. When you limit your food intake as far as eating under the hunger drive, it does work to help you to lose weight. So I'm not saying that other diets don't work, they do. But you have to use willpower in order to get yourself to eat under the hunger drive. And how long can you realistically do that before you just say, that's it, I give up, I'm hungry, I'm gonna go and eat that croissant, or I'm going to go and eat that pizza because I don't wanna do this anymore. So when you eat under the hunger drive, you have to use that willpower. And I just like to be able to eat without having to live that way. For me, that's not something that I would want to do long term. And I believe in kind of setting up systems that you can do forever, not doing a diet as a quick fix for you to fit into a pair of jeans and then kind of go back to your old ways. All right, so the first one was not having to be hungry. The second benefit, and I'm looking down because I'm referring to my notes, is that you don't have to spend time or energy or any thought on counting calories. You don't need to count point systems like some diets do, or write down how many grams of this or how many calories in that. You can actually forget about calories altogether once you've gotten the grasp of how to follow this way of eating. So the only reason you would need to know anything about calories is at the very beginning when you're first starting this way, to get a sense of the calories per pound. So understanding which foods are low calorie density. But once you know that, and once you have your pantry and your fridge and freezer stocked with all of these delicious whole plant food items, then you don't really have to ever think about calories ever again. And I absolutely love that. I just think like how amazing to free up your time and free up your energy and not have to worry about that at meal times. To just be able to eat until you're full and to not have to worry about calories anymore. I love that. And I know that there is an adjustment period for some people. I still get, questions every day from people about, is it true that I can really have more than one potato at a meal? Or is it true that this, that, and the other? And sometimes I think because if people have been counting calories for so many years and sometimes decades, it feels like that is giving up a sense of control by not counting calories anymore. And like, oh no, am I gonna all of a sudden be out of control because I'm not keeping track of these calories, or I'm not entering all of my food into an app or a food diary? But you truly can let that go. It might take a little while to get comfortable with it, but once you get into the swing of eating this way and you've figured out some really fantastic, filling, low calorie density meals that you enjoy, you don't even have to ever worry about calories again. So number 3 on my list is kind of an added bonus, and that is that it will save you a lot of money. I should say it can save you a lot of money. If you follow, for example, that list that I've created, that 25 item grocery list, all of those items are actual items that I buy usually every other week when I do my grocery shop. And they are inexpensive whole plant foods. Some of them are frozen fruit, frozen veggies, but you can eat this way on a low budget and really cut your grocery bill. I say you can eat this way on a budget, but of course, if you have the budget or you want to go and buy exotic, goji berries or some, other very, higher price point items that are plant-based, then by all means go ahead and do that. But you can definitely eat this way on a budget, and the food is available anywhere. These are items that you can get at almost every grocery store. Number 3, that was number 3. Number 4 is that once you get the hang of it, you can put this way of eating on autopilot. And I love that. I am all about simplifying my life. At first, you will have to put in some effort into figuring out how this all works, creating meals that you genuinely enjoy. And it does take a bit of testing and a bit of trial and error. You might at first start making meals that are maybe too low in calories per pound and you're still hungry afterward and you think, oh, I didn't make enough in that. Maybe I needed to add more beans, or maybe I needed to make that meal more filling with a bit more rice or some more potato. Whatever that may be, you may just need to take time to get used to cooking this way and to preparing these meals. Maybe that means doing some food prepping, or really just reading up. Maybe you want to read The Starch Solution, read some of Dr. John McDougall's other books, and just get a real good sense for how to eat this way and how to prepare some fantastic meals. But once you've done that, you can put your weight loss on autopilot, and you can put your weight maintenance. Once you've reached your ideal goal weight range, then you don't have to really ever think about dieting ever again. I literally, other than filming these videos and coaching and when I'm sharing this information with you, I don't ever think about this stuff. Like, I just eat the food that's in my fridge, pantry, and freezer, make meals that are tasty to me, and I get on with my life. I'm not fussing about, oh, did I eat this much or this? You know, I don't worry about that stuff. Like, and I love that whole concept of putting the weight loss on autopilot, putting these healthy meals on autopilot and letting them do the work, let the food do the work, let your body do the work. Your job is just to create the system in the first place. Your job is just to get the junk food out of your environment, the food that it might be tempting you, and, you know, get that away. That's step one. Step two, fill up your pantry, freezer, and fridge with all of these healthy, low calorie density foods. Step three, start with 2 breakfasts, 2 lunches, and 2 dinners that are super yummy and filling to you, that are, you know, within this way of eating. And there you go. Then just repeat. And, you know, you might want to do some meal prepping in there so that you don't have to be cooking and spending hours every single day making these different dishes. You can prepare, you know, food for the next 3 or 4 days on Sunday night. And in my low calorie density guide, I have a 7-day plan with recipes. There are quite a few dishes that you can prepare ahead of time, and if you've got some little glass containers, you can portion that all out, and you can have food for, you know, half a week to a week. So I love that. All right, now I'm going to get into some of the challenges, and there are many, many, many more benefits, but those are some of the core ones. Definitely the fact that you don't have to be hungry. Like, I can't state that enough. I think that that is just amazing, and that's what really has enabled me to stick with this for as long as I have, because I don't feel like I'm on a quote-unquote diet. I just eat these foods until I'm full, and the days and months go by, and I've never felt like I was missing anything, or that I really wanted to go for the pizza or really wanted to go for whatever else, because I make sure that I love the food. I create meals that I genuinely enjoy eating. So it's easy for me to stick with. All right, so some of the challenges, and a lot of these challenges you will notice at the beginning. You know, like anything, it gets easier in time, but I kind of wanted to share these challenges with you so that you are prepared, so that when they happen, you don't feel like, oh no, I can't deal with this isn't gonna work for me, I have to give up completely. And if you have a day like that where you do feel that way, it's okay, but I will just say that you do not need to give up forever because you've had one day where you overindulged in food that you didn't really want to be eating. All right, so the challenge number 1 is dining out / social life. So if you are someone who loves to go out for meals like 3, 4, 5 times a week, or over to your friend's house, or have movie and pizza night at your house, whatever it may be, that is going to change. There's no way of kind of tiptoeing around that. Like, especially at the beginning, I actually recommend starting out with a 30-day challenge where you are preparing all of your meals at home. Just because, as I said earlier, I'm all about getting yourself into habits and setting this on autopilot in your life. And you can't really do that if you're dining out a lot. I want you to kind of understand the basics first. This doesn't mean you can never go to a restaurant. This doesn't mean you can never go to a party or have people over at your home. But I will say that it's a lot easier if you can at least do a 30-day challenge where you are preparing all of your meals at home. And so, yeah, dining out is possible, but restaurant food is almost always laden with oil, sugars, sauces that have oil and sugar, and all sorts of other things that are very high in calories per pound or calories per bite. Basically the opposite of what we're going for here. And so there are some exceptions. I often share on my Instagram that I go for poke bowls, which are Poke is like a Hawaiian dish, typically with fish, but it's very easy to veganize it and have it be oil-free completely. And so what it is, it's like a bowl with rice, and you can add in any of your favorite veggies that they've got or fruit. So I will often have a poke bowl with rice, with onion, peppers, mango, pineapple, seaweed salad. What else do I put in there? Pretty much all of the veggies and fruits that they have there. I like almost all of them. And then instead of any of the creamy sauces that may or may not have oil, I just put a drizzle of soy sauce and maybe some sriracha on top or some chili flakes for spice. Very filling as well. I'm not a huge salad person, especially at restaurants. I'm not really one to just sit there and like chew on lettuce while everyone else is eating like delicious hot cooked meals. So poke is one that's actually quite filling and delicious. And also at sushi restaurants, you can get some mango rolls, some cucumber rolls, seaweed salad, a bowl of rice, and lots of other great oil-free items also. So that's just a little tip there. And as far as your social life, it is going to be a challenge. If you're someone who goes out for drinks, this is an alcohol-free way of eating. Of course, if you're trying to kind of incorporate a few of these meals and you're not gonna go 100% all in with this way of eating, and you currently do drink alcohol, you can still try and start to incorporate some of these starchy, low calorie density meals into your diet. But it's harder going out and dining out when people are having, deep fried foods, pizza nights, and you're sitting there eating your pre-made dish that you've made maybe, and everyone else is having their, pizza, chips, cookies, ice cream. If that is very difficult for you to be around, then you just have to kind of, A, not be around that while you're getting into the swing of this, or B, really do the prep work of calling restaurants before you go out to make sure that there's something on the menu that you can adjust or customize, or maybe you need to check some vegan blogs and see what other people have ordered when they go to that restaurant, and just really prepare yourself in advance. You can eat before you go out, just in case when you do go out there's nothing really for you that will be satisfying and filling. But anytime you put yourself in an environment where there's a bunch of junk, it's going to be much more difficult than when you're at home in your own surroundings with your own healthy food. So just be aware of that. Number 2, as for challenges, is gas and bloating. Not fun, but this is definitely something that I get a lot of emails about. People saying, oh my gosh, is this normal? So if you are currently not already having a lot of fiber in your diet, like maybe you're not even vegan, and you're thinking you're going to go from a standard American diet, maybe not a ton of fruits and veggies and fiber and beans, and then you're going to go straight into eating these meals exclusively, you may notice A, bloating, B, gas. The bloating, I would say, drink lots of water. It's super important to stay hydrated. Your body will adjust. But, and as far as the gas, maybe introduce beans and some of the gassier vegetables like broccoli in sparingly in some of your meals. So instead of just, because some of my recipes that I share are like, okay, we're gonna put an entire can of beans into this dip. And I make a lot of dips that are, based on chickpeas, black beans, kidney beans, cannellini beans, lentils. And so just maybe tiptoe by adding a small amount and seeing how that goes, and let your body adjust, and then increasing that amount over time. All right, what's next here? All right, next, as far as a challenge, I would just say, and I'm kind of reiterating a point that I've already made, is getting used to the fact that there's a lot to learn and there's a steep learning curve at the beginning. But knowing this in advance, and that's why I'm sharing this with you, will let you know that it's normal if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed in the first few weeks and you're Googling all the time, like, wait a minute, how many calories are in a pound of dates? Or, this recipe calls for tahini. How many calories are in a pound of tahini? Like, you may find yourself doing that a lot at the beginning because we stick under 700 calories per pound for the ingredients of any meal that you're making. So maybe you're unsure of, what exactly that might be for different foods. So just Google it, quick search of how many calories are in a pound of grapes, for example. And I do have charts on the website where you can save that to your phone. But there might be an exception of a food that's not on there that, you come across and you're like, wait a minute, I don't know if that would fit within this or not. So it's going to take time to get used to it, but you will. And same with the food. Like if you're used to having a lot of oil in your meal, it might taste different. Maybe it doesn't taste as exciting because you were having sauces with sugar and oil and lots of salt and all of these things that are hitting those circuits in your brain, those pleasure circuits that are like ding ding ding, this is so tasty. And then all of a sudden you go to making a dish with broccoli with nothing on it and like a baked potato, and you're thinking, well, this is what I've got to eat now forever? And it's not gonna, just be aware that A, you don't have to eat plain broccoli and plain potato, and B, that your palate will readjust. It's just like anything else. If you're used to having something all the time and then you completely cut it out and you're not having it, your body is going to be like, wait a minute, what's going on? Where was all that good stuff? So just be patient with yourself. You will adapt, you will adjust. All right, so the next, and as a tip for this steep learning curve, I do recommend connecting with other people. So go on Instagram, if you use Instagram, and look at other people's meals or look at them sharing their story and their experience with eating this way. There's a ton of helpful webinars. I always talk about Dr. Anthony Lim's low calorie density webinar. That is really what helped me when I first started eating this way. He shows a lot of examples. So one that I always reference where he shows 2 fig Newtons, the date cookies, or fig cookies. He shows 2 fig Newtons and like 2 bowls of lentil soup or something like that. And he's like, there's the same amount of calories in this as there is in this. And my mind was just like, really? And he's like, which one do you think is gonna fill up your stomach and keep you full for longer? And he shows so many different food examples. And for me, that just really made a lot of sense and it clicked. And when you're new to something, when you can learn from other people who have been doing it for a long time, it can really give you a lot of peace of mind and encouragement and motivation, and also helpful ideas, tips, and strategies. I will link that webinar in the description box again. All right, and the other challenge that I've written down here is that it can be a challenge if you don't live on your own to keep your environment clean, which is something that I always recommend definitely as a starting point, because if you are addicted essentially to eating peanut butter all the time, or maybe you're not vegan yet and you have a really hard time staying away from cheese. I know that's one that a lot of people say they have an addiction to. Then it can be difficult to be in a house where people are eating all these things right around you and you are trying to solely focus on these low calorie density plant-based meals. So this could involve you having an honest conversation with the people that you live with and say, hey, do you mind, if you're gonna eat that pizza, can you eat that on your lunch break at work instead of bringing it home? Or can you eat those cookies when you're with your friends? Or, whatever that may be. And maybe you have to compromise a bit and they're not gonna get rid of all of their junk food, but if there are a few that are very tempting to you, maybe your family that you live with or your roommates can agree to at least keep those things away from your sight as best as possible. All right. And the last one is, there are many challenges depending on the individual. But the other one that I've written down here is that it can feel like it takes a lot of time, especially if you're currently dining out a lot and you're just taking takeout food and you're not having to, cook and prep a lot of your meals. It can feel like you're putting a lot of effort into meal times. Other people who are, eating Pop-Tarts, or I don't know, things that you can just, microwave, or, not have to actually cook and prepare. It can seem like almost unfair. It's like, how come you get to do that and your food is ready in 5 minutes and my food is gonna take, an hour and a half to make this recipe? So there are ways to simplify this, and you don't have to go out and find these overly complicated recipes. You can keep it simple, and I recommend keeping it simple because that's going to make you more likely to stick with this long term. Any obstacle that you put in your own way, like if you make yourself have to follow these gourmet, plant-based, oil-free recipes that look delicious but that are a lot of work, then maybe you're not going to want to stick with this long term. It's just going to feel like it's too much work. So you can meal prep. You can make a recipe once and then have enough for the week. That's something that I highly recommend. And just ask yourself, what are ways that I can save time with this? Get creative, and again, look at other people's meal ideas online and get some inspiration. All right, well, I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any other questions for me, you can feel free to send them my way. I will try to address them in upcoming videos or on Instagram. And I recently did an Instagram live video. It's kind of impromptu. I was going to go on and chat for 20 minutes, and I was there for an hour and 20 minutes answering your questions. But I actually really enjoyed that, and I'll probably continue to do that. So if you are not yet following me on Instagram, it is at MelissaAlexandria01, and the food only account is at low calorie density. All right, I will see you next time, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.